I was in Dagana in a retreat center. This is about 25 years ago. And one thing that I don't know if other practitioners and monks and people who go into retreats feel it or not, but a sense of solitude, loneliness kind of creeps in. And then you need to have resources in place, or you generally, I guess, need to have a sense of renunciation that will keep you grounded at that point in time. So for me, then it used to be the afternoon English service of the BBS radio. And other resources that I had at that point in time were books, biographies, and one of my favorites was Milarepa. Besides that, I had some instruction manuals, and that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. Because in one of the instruction manuals for Dzogchen practitioners, I think it was authored by His Holiness Tujum Rinpoche, Jigdali Shedoji. And what Rinpoche had shared in that manual was, he said that contemplate and reflect on who benefits when you follow the teacher or the guru's instructions. Hi, my name is Karma Dendrup. Today my take is going to be A for advice. On a more practical level, I wanted to share about how parents, if you are of my age, then probably your parents are in their 60s or 70s. My mom is in her 80s. I lost my father last year. It's been my experience, and I have been, in some sense, waiting for a long time to frame it and compose it in a way that I could record it in a video. And I have, in fact, told this to my mom herself in one of our conversations about the fact that don't expect me, who is in my 40s, to get the wisdom or the experience or whatever learning that you have at the age of 80 plus. And while this is a very easy and simple concept or concept to wrap your head around, I think what I mean to convey across with this needs a little bit of more contemplation and reflection. And I feel that this would contribute to more better relationships, because if you are the person receiving the advice and it's coming from somebody who is older than you, then you would have a sense of empathy about, you would be able to at least give that person some space or extend some understanding to him or her by knowing that, okay, first of all, it's coming from a good place, and secondly, that, hey, there must be some wisdom or experience in this, but maybe I'm too young to grasp that. And while this was in relation to receiving advice, I think the same is applicable to myself now, because I am a parent of two girls, and being the age that I am and having gone through what I have gone through, I am, like all of you, susceptible to thinking that I know better in some instances and situations. And when I try to guide or advise my daughters, whenever I can be mindful, I am mindful of the fact that I'm speaking to a young girl who is barely 7 and beyond her Netflix shows and her game, and knowing that she enjoys candies and pastries. There are very few other things that she has her mind occupied with. So that's what I wanted to share about, with regard to advice, in a sense that, first of all, to be mindful about the fact that when you are being given advice, that if you are not able to practice, then you need to cut yourself some slack also, because if it's coming from a 70-year-old or a 80-year-old, then he or she has had that amount of time on planet Earth and made a ton of mistakes, I'm sure, which they are not sharing, and to reach where they are. And similarly, when you find yourself in a place where you're giving advice, to also be mindful about the fact that who you're speaking to, and that while you yourself might be in your 20s, 30s, 40s, and you're giving that advice to a younger sibling or maybe a nephew, niece, son, daughter, to be mindful about the fact that they will not be able to properly grasp what you are trying to tell them, and maybe we need to be more skillful in how we convey that message or advice to them. And lastly, to end, just like how I began, I think the most important thing that all of us have to be mindful about, because nowadays, whether we are watching jokes or reels or news pieces, in some sense or form, I find that it's just advice that is being sent to you. And while there are great tips and great hacks and great instructions, you need to also be mindful about the fact that who is the person giving you that advice. Maybe they have all the time and space to be concentrating on the diet, on the sleep regime, on whatever advice that they are giving you, and maybe your ground reality is not the same. So cut yourself some slack, and I'll catch you in the next one.